So about a year and a half ago, I made a video on KFAD, or the Siva Gunner King for Another Day tournament. And I've kind of followed that up with a brand new internet tourney because that's right, for the first time on the Gecs channel, we're getting a sequel, baby. And no, the Mekon video is not a sequel to the Korekio video, no matter what I may have said during that video. But in case you forgot, or just didn't watch the video because it's not that popular, KFAD was a series of tournaments hosted on the Siva Gunner channel. These tournaments basically force fighters representing pretty much anything to go against each other in fights where the main weapons were tracks made by a team of various composers. These tracks all had sources they could be made from, with sources changing for every character, leading to an incredibly colorful tournament with such a large variety of sources that it could even be seen as one of the best celebrations of internet culture, as it truly encapsulates what it's like to have to browse things that are completely unrelated yet appeal to our ever-changing and growing desire for knowledge. Most of what I said in my previous videos still stands true, and I regularly go back to the previous tournament playlist because the music created is simply just too good. When you remember that all of this was a passion project, it makes it all the more commendable because it's 800 high-quality tracks just there for free, encompassing all kinds of genres and artists. But this video isn't about Siva Gunner, as their KFAD tournaments have long passed. No, today I'm going to be showing a different tournament on a different channel, which has recently been invading my For You page, and contrary to the KFAD tournaments, this one is ongoing, with only the first round having been completed for a few months. Today, I want to present Mashup Week Megamix, the KFAD for the terminally online, because I will be brutally honest here, some of the characters here will only be recognizable if you browse certain forums that people like, let's say, IGPie don't really use. Before I actually start shilling the tournament, I have to preface a few things. Yes, I'm aware there are other tourneys in the style, but this video will only go over the currently ongoing Mashup Week tournament, as in my opinion it's the most accessible, and unlike all the other tournaments, it has a cloud page that I know of, giving it a lot more charm than the others. Not to say that the others aren't full of personality, but Mashup Week Megamix is set up in a way that I feel can be interesting for both newcomers to the genre and people who spend their lives on YouTube. Anyways, let's get on to the fun part. Mashup Week Megamix is a sequel to the SoundCloud tournament Mashup Week, which was a double elimination 16 participant tournament that took place sometime before the no-no pandemic. It was similar to the first KFAD with a few things that gave it the edge over it, as eliminated characters received alternative skins and designs after landing in the losers bracket. Extra characters were introduced every round in the form of bosses, these being either original characters or just wacky references, and the characters in the tournament, like KFAD, were also incredibly varied, with real-life celebrities, musicians, and the heavy weapons guy. Scott the Waz, the eventual winner of the tournament, would then earn the honor of having a week's worth of mashup dedicated to him and hosting the next tournament. The sequel, Mashup Week Megamix, was teased all the way back in 2019, but we would have to wait 2 years until more substantial updates, and in May 2022, all 32 characters were placed in the bracket and the versus rounds could start. This tournament, like KFAD, changed some contestants between the first and second tournaments, with some joining together with previous rivals or enemies, some even recruiting new allies, all of this culminating in a tourney full of fierce competitors, each having the potential to win the entire competition and earn a week of mashups. The tournament is still ongoing to this day, as seen with the most recently released track, which was released on Christmas 2023. So far, only the first round is completely over, and 8 characters have been eliminated. These characters being Lo-Fi Girl, Lil Darky, MTT Tour, Playing with Power, Guzma, Forum Freak Show, Gustavo Rock, and Kid Cobra. This means that all Nintendo reps are completely eliminated, which might upset people who think like Scott the Waz. Something else very commendable about the tournament is the fact that only the first match had a loser get defeated with less than 40% of the votes going his way, showing that a lot of the bracket placements are relatively even, making each match nerve-wracking. Not only are bracket placements good, but all the characters are so varied and have so much potential to grow that, for once, the sources and the potential actually get their own section in the video. Also, on a side note, it's funny to see that all the French characters have dropped down to the losers bracket in the very first round. Please actually make an effort, guys, come on. It was mentioned earlier that every contestant can have access to certain genres or musical artists when it comes to making tracks. While KFAD did the exact same thing, I feel like MWM creators actually did a better job by giving the contestants so many possibilities for track inspirations, to the point that they might even overlap sometimes. Take the example of Charles All-Star Barkley and Guzma. It's stated that Sir Charles has access to songs in the hip-hop and rap genre from the 90s, with examples being Eazy-E and Ice Cube. You know what Guzma has? Songs related to gangs and organized crime. I'll let you connect the dots for a second. The answer was NWA. That's right, Guzma uses the song F the Police, showing that yes, certain characters have overlapping sources. It's all good for Barkley though, because need I remind you once again, Guzma is long gone. This is a nice segue into my next point, which is the potential of these sources. At least every character has a source that quote-unquote redeems them because of just how ambiguous they are. Let's go back to the example of Guzma. The big bad boss himself has 3 official sources. songs originating from Pokemon media or composed by Pokemon's mainstay composers, songs related to gangs and organized crimes, and finally, songs related to insects and skeletons. I especially want to bring your attention to the final one. Now, the examples for this source are generally unassuming outside of the entire Hollow Knight OST. What a lot of people don't realize is that the entire Kendrick Lamar to Pimp a Butterfly album is eligible for this character. Yes, that album. To my knowledge, it was used in 2 different tracks featuring Guzma, and just by looking at the comments, you can tell that people were flabbergasted by its inclusion in the tournament. This is why before making your vote, you should carefully consider all sources and potential for future mashups. Also, just because Guzma had To Pimp a Butterfly hidden away from the MWM website, it doesn't mean that you can't get a good overview of a character's potential simply from a simple glance at the video descriptions. For example, the club bangers featuring veteran French icon Flat Eric and his goons Fat Man Scoops and Baba, you know, that one creature from the Gigi D'Agostino song Blah Blah Blah, has a source that is basically any songs in the big beat, plunderphonics, and turntablism genres. So, song made by the Avalanches, Hideki Naganuma, and more importantly C2C are available. Even if Flat Eric was French, I could not care less for the club bangers before realizing all the potential they had for their sources, which is why it's always important to inform yourself before making a vote. It isn't made clear if when a character gets eliminated, certain characters with similar sources get buffed. I say this because Neil Cicierega is the god of plunderphonics, and he's also in the tournament. So all you Naganuma heads know what you have to do to give your goats an even better chance of winning. Kill the Tumblr sexy man contestant. Or, you know, just eliminate the club bangers because Flat Eric only speaks French and it's incomprehensible. But yes, every character has at least one potential source that can appeal to you. And all it takes is just one little search on the Cloud page to understand how every contestant can possibly churn out bangers if they become winners. I think this would be as good of a time as any to mention the Cloud website, which is similar to the KFAD Mojo website, in which updates are posted regarding the rounds currently in session, characters are regularly given new lore and interactions with each other, making it even more heartbreaking when your main unsurprisingly gets eliminated by someone you don't necessarily care about. Every character actually feels, well, like a character, more than just a stereotype for a music genre, and bounce off of each other really well, which is really nice to see considering a lot of them would probably have nothing to say to each other if they all met. Also, the website gives a general overview of each character and their sources, which is an especially useful tool because the website is actually well designed and intuitive, unlike 90% of all university websites. One of the strongest points of this tournament is the variety in characters. The main difference with KFAD is that a lot of the tracks aren't afraid of using copyrighted music. While there were a few on the Siva Gunner channel, almost every character in MWM can pull from copyrighted sources. While this makes the risk of a strike much more likely, this also means that you can play some of these songs in the car with your friends and they might not jump you as much for it. Also, real-life celebrities can actually go past the first round of this tournament, so Tyler or Kesha fans are actually eating good tonight. Additionally, the fact that every character is so different means that there are so many tracks for pretty much every type of music there is. You want something more chill or just enjoy R&B? Well, Hot Ones might be a great pick for you. You want something like alternative rock or Britpop mixed with literally anything airing on Cartoon Network or Adult Swim? Ace the Copular has got you covered. Or do you want a Sigma edit of SHREK for some odd reason? Because this track exists, so make of that what you will. But yes, this tournament isn't afraid of strikes and even rolls with the punches as seen with tracks like Wonderful Sanctuary in the first tournament. Not only does this tournament allow you to show tracks to your grandparents without giving them an aneurysm immediately, you could potentially have new artists and albums to listen to thanks to the sheer amount of ground covered by 32 contestants. Need I remind you that this tournament is a passion project? That's right, this tournament is receiving so much effort from so many people, and the team behind the project clearly isn't getting enough recognition, especially considering how good almost all of these tracks are. While some tracks are just a mashup of 2 previously existing songs, some change the time signatures or have so many references and songs thrown into the same track, which just sounds amazing despite it seeming like it would be a chaotic mess. The talented musical artists are putting their entire mussy into the project, alongside the writers on the Cloud website who continually add lore to the filler tracks that aren't versus tracks. Speaking of versus tracks, it would be a shame if I didn't mention them. Versus tracks are what you'd expect them to be, tracks made with the blend of sources from both contestants going against each other in a certain round. But the cherry on top is the gorgeous art accompanying every single versus track. I shit you not when I tell you that some of these pieces could be used as a wallpaper, they are that good. Nobody asked the artist to go this hard on these pieces, but some of them really give the tracks new dimensions with how good they are. Look at this Forum Freak Show vs. Neil Cypher piece. It's a pretty intense piece to accompany a track that features Pkmn. There's just something so admirable about the way this tournament manages to thrive in so many different artistic mediums and offers this all for free in such an accessible way on YouTube. The channel deserves so many more views and subs than it already has, and if you haven't checked them out already, I'd heavily recommend you do so. There's actually no negatives to checking the channel out. Plus, if you're interested in a certain fighter, there are playlists created by the channel to see all the tracks made for that character, making the whole tournament even more accessible than it was before. While yeah, there are breaks in between the rounds, the end product is much more than worth it, so please be patient. And who knows, you might leave with a more varied music taste. Also, the fact that there's such a long time between rounds means that if any sources get updated, the contestants have access to new rips, like Tyler and the Grinch getting access to the No Sleep Till Brooklyn from the Mario movie soundtrack, or River City Girls getting access to the Scott Pilgrim Show, or even the Kesha and Billie Eilish team getting access to that brand new Kali Uchis album. Mashup Week Megamix is, in my opinion, one of the greatest celebrations of internet culture because it just has so much content to offer, and it's only in the beginning stages. So yeah, you should check them out. All the necessary links will be in the description, and you can literally lose nothing from looking at the channel. With that, I thank you for watching, like and subscribe for more life-changing content, and goodbye.